about your philosophy of fighting fire with fire in terms of matching your top offensive line against the other team's top offensive line?
I think that, that there's certain times that you go head to head, and when you do, you have the confidence that your guys are going to be able to at least manage the same amount of offensive time in the offensive zone. You're not going to be held in your zone for extended periods of time. That you believe your face-offs or your guy in the face-off circle is going to start with the puck, giving your group more of an opportunity to play with the puck. It frustrates offensive players. Guaranteed it frustrates offensive players if they have to play defense and if it's consistent. And, again, that we haven't really taken on that mantra of going head-to-head in a lot of situations. We've tried the double-prong approach where if we feel we have a good night coming from our checking line or our line that is now developed into more of a puck possession line, if they're going well, we'll put them out for a shift, or if it's a defensive zone face-off. And then in the offensive side, a lot of it has to do with what side the face-off's on, so that you have a center iceman that's pulling it back on the strong side, going up against somebody that maybe has to pull it and go to his forehand. Those are the kind of little things that you try to calculate within the game, and you make those decisions while you're on the bench.
Randy, it's been 5 games since Phil scored. Is that just the natural ups and downs of the season, or has he gotten away from some of the things that you think he needs to do?
Well, I think, goal scorers seem to go in peaks and valleys, and right now the issue for me more than anything is that the power play has been his bread and butter. And now he's seeing a lot more attention paid to him from a different defensive strategies where they squeeze a lot more on the wall on him. They're not allowing him to come off the wall and shoot the puck as much. So if you notice, he's not scored, but his assist totals have went up in those areas. So again, that's what you have to do. You have to be able to make adjustments, and he has to make some adjustments of maybe rolling up a little higher, and with the addition of Kadri, it becomes more of a two-dimensional power play where you can work both sides of the ice, and we hope that frees up some space for Phil.
Randy, are you seeing a progression with your club 5-on-5? You're even right now, 23 games in.
I don't know. I think that we can always be better. We've had some valleys that have really cost us. If you want to look at numbers, when you give up 9 one night, you give up 6. Those are tough, and they're tough to recover from. It's like you're battling in. I don't look at the statistics as much. I look at it over as a whole of 10 games and 5-game segments and whatnot, what you're doing, and that seems to be where your trends. And we had an awful 5-game spell there, and you can't hide from that.
Randy, it looks like it's going to be another start for Jonathan Bernier. What's the trust factor there with him, and are there any concerns that Reimer seems to be only good in it for back-to-backs?
Again, with the way the schedule we've been presented, there's time off between games, and we know that's going to change. So with Bernie, we felt that he's been riding a hot hand, and he's been good for us. He's given us a chance, and we still think that, like the goal the other night, the short side goal, is an area where we can't give up that goal. He knows that. And in some of the situations, we want to make sure that he's sharp and he's ready to roll. And we've got days off in between, so it shouldn't be taxing. And up until last game, I think there was 3 games in a row that the shot totals were down respectable, And those are all things that you factor in, and we just think Bernie's on a roll. So as far as Rhymes, he works hard in practice. He's given us goaltending that we think is NHL capable, and it's stuff that we talk about all the time when you're making decisions, and we don't want Rhymes to get too rusty. That's for sure, and I'm sure he's going to see the net.
How does Leo stats?
Leo didn't skate this morning, right? Yeah, so he's unavailable for tonight.
He passed the concussion test.
I don't know what that test is anymore. I've heard so many freaking explanations for test this, test that, ride the bike here, jump up and down on one foot. I don't know what that test is anymore. It just seems that there's a protocol that when the player has symptoms then there's a time frame that he has to be symptom-free, and we're working on that now. He's working out and he's riding the bike, so it's not like he's in there laying on the bed doing nothing. He's active, so we don't foresee this as being a long-term thing, but we don't control that.
So until the symptoms are.
Yeah, the symptoms have subsided generally, but there's a time frame in which we have to wait.
Randy, we've talked this year about having more contributions from your fourth line and competition within your lineup. You see a guy like Peter Holland has moved up in your lineup, and now David Booth trying to insert himself into your lineup. Are you satisfied with how that part of your roster's developed?
Again, you're trying to find the right place for everybody, and to say that it's a surprise when you see a Mike Santorelli being able to do what he's done and the way he's played up in our lineup, and then Leo Komarov was playing up in our lineup. We think Nazi's starting to play to a higher level. It's all of those things, and now David Booth with the injury and missed up to 6 weeks with an injury that that you just can't replace on ice skating and playing. And we think that he has an opportunity to play higher in our lineup, but right now this is where he has to fit, and we just think that he's got more to give, and he's played very well in the specifically the last game. We thought he made a huge contribution to our skating game and our puck pressure game, and we think that there's more to give, and if he continues to do that and somebody falters, well, he's going to get an opportunity.
Is that, I mean, it's kind of an obvious question, but is that the atmosphere you're trying to create where guys can?
Well, we said that right from the beginning that we wanted to create the 9 forwards as being able to create offense, and I think we are getting close to that, but by no way are we satisfied. That's one thing that we're not going to be satisfied. It doesn't matter what happens. There's peaks and valleys, and we always talk about them, but we want to make sure that this hockey club is taking the necessary steps to grow as a group, and these are all tests now, and when you have a home schedule like we do, we have to take advantage of it.
Was moving Holzer up with Gardner last game just a sign of comfort after the first
Well, after the first game and the game that he played, I think he earned the opportunity to move up. Simple as that. I thought he was outstanding in his first game, and he played the way we envisioned him, and now he's got to maintain that consistency.
More than half the games this season have been decided lopsided scores one way or the other. Is there any reason for that you can see?
Well, I like it when we're on the big side of the score. That just, it's just, I don't know. I don't have the explanation for that. I know that the games are going to get tighter as we go forward, for sure. As soon as that January 1 comes, you're going to see you got to play defense to have success. Your penalty killing's got to be, helping you stay in hockey games when you're, if you take penalties, all those things. The defensive side of it seems to shine through. That's for sure.
Randy, speaking of the defensive side, what is the biggest challenge tonight? You got the guy who's leading the NHL in goals, and he seems to have a unique chemistry singing with Ben. Yeah,
2 very good hockey players. Elite level players. Ben's got a big time shot. Sergei's got a big time shot. They've moved Spezza down into a second line role, so they've got the 2-headed monsters, if you want to look at it that way, as far as big time centers. And we know Jamie Benn. I know a lot more of him when I was in Anaheim, seeing him develop into a young stud as a player, and big time shot, big strong kid. And Sergei has really developed into a shooter since the move from Boston, So they're 2 formidable offensive players. But again, if we can play more further away from our net when they're on the ice, then our chances of success go up greatly.